Political analyst Khanyi Magubane now joins us via video link to unpack the second voter registration weekend, the importance of these elections for South Africa at large. Khanyi, good afternoon and thanks for your time on the SABC at this hour.
Thank you very much, Liesl, to you and your viewers.
Khanyi, registering to vote is an important starting point for civic responsibility, sustained civic action as well, and also just protecting and preserving our democracy. And so in lieu of this, talk to us about the significance of voter registration, but particularly this voter registration.
Thank you, Liesl. As we know that we have voter registration drives because people move around all the time. You know, people change addresses, people go to work in different provinces. And so it's important that the IEC has the latest voters roll because, you know, you go to a voting station and you haven't lived there for years and they don't have you there. So I think the first, thing that we need to establish is why, these voters rolls happen, because we want our names to be there, but most importantly, to fix the logistics of people moving around and to ensure that as many people are given the opportunity to vote. And also last time, the last registration round that happened in November, we saw over 500,000 first-time voters registering to vote. And that's quite encouraging because a lot of the first-time voters are made up of the youth and those who had previously been uninterested in voting. And we know that voter apathy in previous years has been extremely high, and that has been to the detriment of many political parties. So when the voter registration roll goes up, currently it has just surpassed the 27 million mark. We see that at least 27 million South Africans are in the voters roll and have the potential to go and vote on the day of elections. So what we are seeing is a resuscitation of people becoming more interested and indignant about the fact that they have to vote, because at the end of the day, the people that are in power, the political parties that are in power, are reflective of how people have voted. And we know that currently there's a lot of new political parties that have come into the political landscape between the last general election and these general elections. There are many new political parties that have broadened the political landscape, and this has invigorated people to come forward and say, maybe I believe in that guy, maybe I believe in that lady. They're not talking the same language as your traditional parties like the ANC, the DA, the EFF. Maybe they have something new to offer. So I think overall we're seeing quite a positive upward trend of people coming out to register.
Well, can you speak about voter apathy? What will it then take to convince those that have not registered to come out and register? In the same breath, we're looking at the campaigning strategies that have emerged across the different political parties. And what are you observing in terms of their focus areas? For instance, the ANC focusing on in Gauteng for the second voter registration weekend.
Well, political parties will be up and about, not only in the streets, but at different registration points. They are at the voting stations and they've put up their marquees, they've put up their gazebos, they are registering members to come and join them. They've got people on the ground going to shopping centers, going to malls, encouraging people to go and register, telling people where the nearest school, where the nearest church is. So I do see a lot of political parties being out in full force. And one thing I always say is that South Africans are past the promises. We are past the promises that have been made since 1994. We no longer want to hear promises. And unfortunately, Liesl, what we're seeing is a lot of political parties are still hinging on two things. Number one, you've got the ANC that is hinging its campaign on its successes, its previous successes, to say, this is what we've done, this is what we've achieved, and this is what we're going to do. And then you have opposition parties who are hinging their campaigns on what the ANC has failed to do and how the ANC has failed the party. So while I understand why the ANC would put forward its best foot, What I'm a little bit disappointed on is how a lot of political parties have not given us their own original thoughts in terms of this is what we're going to do for you. A lot of them are focusing on the ANC's failures. Now, people don't vote for you because of another party's failure. They vote for you because they believe in what you stand for. So I think that between now and the day of elections, a lot of political parties need to be clearer about what they are promising to their constituencies, about what they stand for, because simply standing on platforms and grandstanding about the failures of the ANC, that itself is not enough to get people to vote for you, because research has shown that people make emotional decisions when they cast their votes.
It's about the big ideas, Khanyi, the big ideas, and you know, looking past the past successes and failures. It's a valid point there. I actually want to look at some of the other factors deterring people from showing up for this voter registration. Just as we edge closer to elections, inclement weather, load shedding, and even just what some of those big concerns are from your vantage point. We're looking at the demographics, the age groups that are not participating, the patterns, the trends that this is also reflective of. Walk us through what you're observing on that front.
Well, I mean, what I'm observing on that front, Lisa, let's look at the numbers first. 23,000 voting stations are open today, and over 69,000 employees of the IEC are out on the ground to facilitate this weekend's registration. If we're looking at the numbers of people, 18 to 24-year-olds are always the group that is least likely to register, because the youth often don't know why they should go and vote. And so we see a lot of political parties encouraging young people to go and vote. And we know that traditionally your older groups, like your 30 to 55s, is where you get the most voters, because they've voted for 2 or 3 elections, and it's something that they've become accustomed to do. But also you see the elders, people who've been there since 1994, can tell you that every election I've voted, and I've voted for this party, and this is my party of choice, and I'm not moving. So we see those patterns of people constantly voting for the same party. But we're also seeing people who are coming in and saying, I want to vote for the new guys. We're seeing a new crop of voters coming in specifically to vote for new parties like Say, Patriotic Alliance, Al Jama. We've got Duduzane that has launched his new political parties. I think they're called Game Changers, or the All Game Changers. We've got a lot of new political parties. Umkhonto weSizwe party that has launched now, as controversial as it is. It's attracting new voters. So I think that has been the great advantage of new parties coming to the fore, is that they're attracting new people who are saying, I believe in those new guys. They don't have a bad track record. I've got nothing to fault them on, so I've actually got nothing to lose by voting for them. And so I feel quite positive, Liesl, that we're going to see for the first time new trends coming out of these elections, especially because this is also the first time that we've got independent candidates running alongside political parties. And we've seen in 2021 some independent candidates actually went on to run municipalities, to be instated into positions. So I don't think it's something we can take lightly, the presence of independent candidates. We've got the multi-party charter made up of 7 political parties who've made a promise to themselves that should there be no outright party that gets a majority, then they will come together and form the new government of South Africa.